My name's Collin Box. I am South Salem Saxon class of 2007.
1. Let's get started.
Today I'm joined by 2007 graduate Collin Box. In his 4 years as a Saxon, Collin played soccer, golf, more soccer, and definitely more soccer. He studied in our IB classes, helped in our peer mentoring program. He was surrounded by a great group of teammates and friends as a Saxon, and even met his wife, Addie, here at South. And since graduating, Collin attended Corban University, where he majored in biblical studies and pastored a church for a couple years following graduation. He then began coaching soccer and eventually landed his current role as executive director of Capital Football Club. Collin's recognized for his leadership development skills and was recently named the Outstanding Young Professional by the Salem Chamber of Commerce. He currently serves on the board of Church at the Park. He's the co-chair of the Salem Area Sports Commission, the assistant director for Corber Coaching Northwest, and the founding president of the Salem Youth Sports Alliance. He's also one of our boys soccer coaches here at South. He and his wife, Addie, have 4 children, 2 of whom were Saxons. Collin, welcome to the program. We're so excited to hear more about all you've got going on. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Looking forward to the conversation.
It's true. You are coaching right now, right? At soccer as well for our South?
That's right. I do hang out still with the legendary Eric Johansson there. So, yes.
How many years has he been at South?
A lot. I was asking him a couple of years when he was going to retire, and then I just stopped asking because it's just been so many. So he's been there for a long time.
And the guy hasn't aged in the last 35 years that I've known him. I think I first met him in the early 90s, and he does not look any different. Still young, vibrant, all of it. Man, how do you keep keep track of everything you've got going on?
Day by day, little by little. I think that's kind of just how life goes. You just have one thing at a time that you focus on. If you look at everything, it definitely gets overwhelming, but just one thing at a time is my strategy. So
is that something that's come in adulthood for you, or is that did you have that as a student, growing up as well?
I mean, I even at my time at South, I had a lot of things, and I think it's pretty common for students to go from one thing to the next, and then you leave early, you don't get home till late or whatever. I think as I've grown up, I've gotten a little bit better at taking the time to just focus on those one thing and allowing some of the space, because I think having that like thinking time and a little bit of decompressed time really does allow you to be fully present to everything that you're at.
Yeah, and if I know you like I do, being present and being able to connect with people has always been one of your skills and strengths for sure. I'm wondering, let's go back to your high school years. What are some of those core memories that you remember from being a Saxon and just all the experiences that you had?
I loved my time at South. I really I can't say enough how formative it was for me. Obviously, some of the things that we did on the field with soccer were awesome. Especially my senior year playing on the field was really special. We went the furthest that any team had gone up until that point into the semifinals, and had some pretty memorable moments there with some friends there. But I also just loved things as simple as, lunchtime, or I had some great memories with peer mentoring. I really enjoyed even some of the IB classes that I took, especially my IB English class was one of my most favorite classes, and I still think about some of that stuff to this day.
That's great. What was it that about those IB classes that it still sticks with you?
I think especially that the English class, we had a great teacher. Mr. Woods was the teacher back then. And not only was the content interesting, I wasn't really interested in it, to be honest, but the teacher made it interesting. And then I think just the relationships that we were able to foster with some of my friends that were in that class. I mean, I remember all that kind of stuff, and we all had kind of this shared suffering type of experience within all of that I think brought us all together a little bit.
Yeah, and you mentioned your time as a soccer player, and now it still is something that's very present in your life. What is it about soccer for you that um, connects you to maybe a greater purpose, a greater passion in your life?
Yeah, soccer's been core to who I am for a long time, and I think having to sort that out a little bit in adulthood has been a challenge from time to time of how much of my identity does that play. But I think there is a lot of who I am that has been shaped by what's happened on the field. I think what I love about what I do and what I love about the game is the community that it creates and the people that you end up being teammates with or playing against that you just would never really interact with if it wasn't for the game. I think, one of my favorite quotes is that the soccer ball is the greatest invitation in the world. And you have this opportunity. You don't necessarily speak the same language. You don't have the same background, but this ball gives you an invitation to be a part of someone else's life. And to be honest, that's what a lot of my experience at South was about. I met people from much different backgrounds than myself, interacted with them in a different way, learned a lot of things that I just wouldn't have ever really known about, the different ways of life that are out there. I mean, that's one of the things that I think is so special about South is how diverse and unique and how many different kinds of people and different backgrounds of the students. And that to me was so important and helped shape my passion for what I'm doing right now, even just that experience that I had dating back to high school.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about how you got to where you're at now, going from, Corbin, where you're studying biblical studies, then moving into more of that pastoral role, and then now as the executive director of CFC. Like, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah. Uh, this is not what I thought I would be doing with my life. I kind of stumbled into some of this. I took a coaching job. I had hip surgery when I was 18 years old. So after my freshman year of college, I wasn't able to play anymore. So I didn't really know what to do with myself. So I started getting involved with coaching from there. And it was a good college job. It was kind of the get to be on the field, interact with some kids, get paid for a little bit, get a little bit of money, and that was that. And I think from there, just there continued to be opportunities. And I saw a need that was at the club that I kind of felt called to fill and felt like I was uniquely equipped to do it. And so I kind of put myself out there when someone had left and the club was in some turmoil. And so it's kind of a little bit of a combination of right place, right time with some of the background and skills that I had and me being willing to put myself out there and say, hey, I'm willing to give this a shot. And from there, I took a leadership role when I was very young, just out of college, and kind of was like, hey, take a chance on me and we'll see what happens from there. And my intention was always to hand this thing off to someone who knew a lot more than me. And then just kind of kept going. It kept being opportunities, and I've just grown into a role that I really enjoy, which kind of combines some of the things that I'm passionate about with community, kids, the game. And I just am very, very blessed to be able to get to do what I get to do.
You've mentioned leadership a couple times. I want to get to that, but I'm also drawn into that confidence that you saw in yourself to put yourself out there and into those conversations, into those spaces that, gosh, maybe you weren't qualified on paper, but there was some sort of internal belief, was a calling even that propelled you to step more into those spaces. How do you develop something like that? I'm thinking about my students here who don't quite have that skill developed, that muscle present in their own life. What do I teach them? What do I give them in terms of advice?
Yeah, I that's a great question. I think when I think about why I stepped out in that, I part of it had to do with I just had some level of confidence or actually just not really knowing what I was stepping into myself. Uh, I think part of it, honestly, I just kind of saw what was in front of me and I knew a couple people from honestly my growing up days that I reached out to and kind of said, hey, what if this, it wasn't ever like a big jump. It didn't feel like a big jump. It felt like a lot of little conversations and little exploration. So it wasn't like I'm going to figure this thing out on my own and I've got this big grand plan. It was more, let me have this conversation with my old coach and, hey, what do you think about this? I'm thinking about this. Do you see that? What do you think about that? And then I had another conversation with a couple people that I trusted that were my mentors. And I asked them what they thought and they said, you should do it. And so it was a few other conversations that led to the confidence. And it wasn't just about me at that point. It was a team of people around me that had said, hey, we believe in you and we see what you're seeing. And so it was I had a part to play in it that I was like, I'm interested in this, but I kept following that curiosity, I guess, and asking the question. And in the risks that I've taken in my job, and that was the first one, I think it actually really didn't feel like a risk because it was a lot of small little decisions that ended up being like, hey, this makes sense. So I think the advice that you would give to your students is just do what's in front of you, take the next easiest step, and don't get kind of same thing. Don't get overwhelmed by the big picture. It's like that journey that's made up of 1,000 little small steps, right? Just take the small step. Don't get overwhelmed by the big thing. I think we get so focused, and you can see, the way that, our world works, you project this big overnight success or whatever it might be. And it's like, it's not really like that. It's a bunch of small little decisions that are daily and they're really pretty ordinary. If you look and you scale back and you look at the whole picture, then you see, oh, that makes sense. That was impressive. That was all these things. But if you look at what's happening on the daily basis, it was a text message for a phone call to set up a coffee appointment, or it was me taking time to write out a piece of paper of some of my scribbles and ideas that then led to these things down the line. So I just think it didn't ever feel like a big thing. It was a bunch of small little things.
Yeah, I'm struck by that message, the making the big small and not even really focusing on the big, just doing what you know is in front of you, that little step. And then the other piece of bringing more people into your boat with you, that you have a mentor, you have people who can speak truth into your life. You meet with people who know you on a level that maybe you don't even know yourself and can say, hey, I think this is a step you can take here. And it may feel big in the moment, but that you have somebody who you trust to evaluate those decisions with you alongside of you is such a gift. I'm thinking about our real first formal interaction, the two of us. I mean, we've known of each other for years, and yet it wasn't until that the groundwork leadership development program, having you come into a group, you'd already gone through it. I'm going through it the next year. You coming into our group where we're looking at the big, and your little tiny simple advice of like, hey, I think you're making it too big. Let's just focus on something small here. Changed everything for us as a group. And that I was going to mention that, and the fact that you just brought that up was perfect because it was such a gift to our group in the moment and me. The amount of times in the last 3 years since that conversation that I've now used that either with students or used it with myself in my own life and decisions that I'm making. So one, thank you for that. And two, I'm curious for you where the interest in leadership came from. Like what is it about your style of leadership or growing in your leadership abilities that's so important to you?
First of all, thanks, Ryan, for sharing that. That's really pretty cool. I appreciate that, and glad that I
Thank
could
you.
be of help in some way. As far as my interest in leadership goes, I think it was interesting because I remember going back to soccer. I was made captain of my team a couple times when I was, in middle school. Or I remember one year in particular, I was like, I'm not going to put myself out there for captain. I don't really want that responsibility. And then my coach picked me as the captain of the team. And I was like, I think there's something to this then. Like people see me as a leader at some level. And so I think that's where my initial interest came from. And then I think just the way that I'm wired, I have kind of an entrepreneurial mindset and want to start new things and try and think about this. And so I've kind of developed, I guess, some of those skills that date back to some things that I started in high school. We started a little group, a club at South at one point and had some things going. We started this little church thing that we were doing after college there. So I've started and stopped a lot of things and learned a few lessons along the way with what that looks like. And so I think that's kind of where my interest comes. I've been wired to do it at some level, and then you kind of learn by necessity, I think, at some points. And when it hurts, like we change when the pain of not changing is bigger than the pain of what you're going through there. So
Yeah, and what is it about Salem for you that has led you into all these different either leadership positions or serving on a board, just finding ways, both formally and informally, about to serve this community? Why Salem?
it's my community. I think after graduating from South, you start looking at schools and colleges and all this and try and figure out, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I ended up being back in Salem at Corban University. And honestly, I thought I was going to go a different direction. And after even my first year at Corban, I was looking at going to play professionally in Europe. I had a chance at a lower league, not nothing huge, but just an experience to go somewhere else, and ended up that didn't happen. And so I kept kind of finding myself in this place. And I think you have a choice in anything, in any situation that you're in. You can either invest and be there, or you can kind of say, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like this. Or you can do that. So I guess I think by default, I just am here and I want to invest into making my community a better place. And so I think that has kind of led me to a love for the city. When something's familiar, you tend to talk about it in not the greatest of ways sometimes. And so I think we should give our city and our space a little bit more credit than maybe we all do. But I just love a lot of things about the place. I love a lot of the people, the connections, and I've been very privileged to play a little piece in trying to make it a little bit better place for everybody.
Yeah, and one of those ways too is through foster care and the work that you and Addie are doing in that space. Addie's starting a organization to serve foster families. Say more about that. What would be helpful for us to know?
Most foster families are one and done. They do it once and then they're out. And most foster kids are placed in 3, 4, 5, 6 homes in their time because of how challenging that is. And so I think that's where kind of this vision that my wife has had with Salem Angels came from, which is that it's a relational support structure, not just around the kids, but it's also around the families who are supporting them as well. I mean, it's kind of a crazy story, mostly from me following my wife and her saying, hey, what if we did this?
Good
so
man.
I think on the same on the same level of like small decisions lead to bigger things. It was first just, hey, what if we were going to do this? What would that look like? And then you take the next step and you see that. And so we ended up taking in 2 kids in our neighborhood. They lived a few blocks away from us, we found out later, but 2 kids that then were 7 and 10 at the time. And so I think we thought, hey, we'll help these kids out for a few months or 9 months or whatever it might be. And that turned into 3.5 years. And then it turned into adoption. And I think that foster care is challenging. Everybody at some level has some sort of trauma and hurt that they're dealing with. Kids that come from hard places and foster care. I mean, I've learned so much personally just from my own kids and this experience. But I think, I think what would be important for people to know is that it really does take a village of people. And I think we had a lot of support structures in our foster care there with all the different things, from getting kids to the doctor and to counseling and to, visits with their family and to court things and all this stuff. And then trying to take care of, we had a newborn at the time as well. So it just wasn't possible with just us. So we had a good support structure that was allowing us to help with that. And so we all have a role to play in that at some level. Not everybody's called to foster. That's a life-changing, life-altering decision, but everybody can help a foster family. Everybody can watch the other kids, babysit, so, they can the family can have a night out, and whatever that might look like. There's many, many things to be done there.
Yeah, if anyone listening wants to get involved or find out how they can support, tell us how they can do so.
Yeah, the organization that my wife works with is called Salem Angels. They have two programs. One's called Love Box program, where it's really a year-long commitment where a group commits to, relational support. And so if you had a group that you wanted to do that with, or you wanted to get engaged in that way, that's one way. The other way is it's called Dare to Dream program. It's a mentorship program specifically there. And those are kind of the relational ways that you can help. There's always some other things you can donate and things like that. But I think the focus for this Salem Angels group is really on that relational side.
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing your heart. Thanks for what you're doing, especially in our foster care community here in Salem, knowing how that impacts our students directly here at South and across our district. It's pretty phenomenal. So, hey, let's jump into those four big questions. These questions, as always, are brought to us by the Saxon Success Fund, a nonprofit organization that's committed to providing current and former Saxon students, graduates in particular, with scholarships as they pursue those goals after they graduate, walk across the stage, every year in June. And if anyone is interested in learning more about the Saxon Success Fund, they can go to saxonsuccessfund.org. So here's question one of the big four. Knowing where you are today, and you can answer this in any way that fits to your what you're doing professionally, what you're doing personally, or who helped you, can you nod at or thank that helped you get to this point?
Yeah. I think it is a who, and I think we touched on that earlier. Just it's not done alone. These things aren't done in a vacuum. And so I could name a bunch of people. Tom Nash was our first club president that said that they were going to believe and trust this kid to lead the club. And, he has a connection to Sal. You got Mark Rogers, who I still am in his dental office, and that's where my office is, You got Chris Morshek, he just believed in me. And so I have many people in my professional world that have poured into me. I have other people like DJ Vincent, who leads Church at the Park now, who was one of the guys that I went to initially and said, "Hey, what do you think about this crazy idea?" And he encouraged me to go out and do that. So I could name 50 people along here, but those are just a few of the people that really have helped me get to where I am today.
What's one piece of advice you would give to your former high school self?
Slow down. I think that we get so impatient, and you look around and you see the successes of other people, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Life is short, but life is long. And so I think that just enjoy the moment that you're in. I think that I moved a little bit too quickly through things sometimes, just because I wanted to achieve something or get to something. But every season is unique and different. And so I think just cherish those moments that you have. The high school memories that I have, both the good ones and the hard ones, are things that you live with for the rest of your life. And so enjoy those moments. Don't go too quickly through them.
How are you seeing that play out now in your daily life? What are the ways that you're slowing down, being present?
Yeah, I think there's, slowing down daily. There's slowing down weekly. There's slowing down on a yearly way. For me, I take time to try to pause in each day. So in the mornings, I have a slow morning. I take time to pause every week. So one day a week, I kind of set aside as this is just a day to not do anything and just to be. And then I do try to take a day away. So I just am planning a day where I'm just going to be on my own, just to reflect and think. And, we get so caught up in just we're doing this and we're doing that. And it's just easy to go with the flow of the schedule that everybody's set with. So you have to be intentional about those times, but giving yourself those moments to just reflect, to look back and to look forward. I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for those moments and checkpoints where it's like, hey, let's just calm down for a moment. Let's see what's back here. Let's see what could be here moving forward.
Love it. And it's leads right into that third question, what's one thing that you've learned since graduation that you wish you knew in high school?
Yeah. Uh, I think just do what's in front of you. It was actually my father-in-law. He told me a story about kind of his career. And he was like, life is like a set of stairs, and you get on one stair and you just do whatever's on that level. And whatever those things are, as great or as not exciting as those things might be, just do your best in those areas. And then you just kind of take the next step and you level up. And so I think I think about this all the time. There's relationships that I have with people that I work with today, like Laura Tiffin, for example, that you guys just had on the show here. Laura was our athletic director at South when I was there. And my interaction that I was as a student athlete plays into the trust and relationship that I have with her, that I work with on every day. I would never have guessed that the things that I did as a 15-year-old on the soccer field that she was watching at some level would play into my relationship professionally now. And I can name millions of many other situations that are similar. So just do what's in front of you. You never know where those things are going to lead, and you never know what that's going to set you up for down.
That's great. And we're all about setting up those opportunities for students here at South. That's one of our commitments is making those connections and providing spaces and classes where students can make those connections with, healthy adults, make those connections with their peers. Who knows what those relationships will lead to? Not in a like, hey, the ends justify what I'm going to do now way. I'm going to manipulate this and this, but just in a way to be present and to see how those relationships can grow exponentially over the years. We have such a strong Saxon network, and one of the best parts of this job right now is connecting with former Saxons, because every single one of them has offered some sort of, hey, if anyone needs to get a hold of me and I can help in their journey along the way, what a gift, what an offering that I wasn't anticipating would come out of these conversations, but continues to do so. And I'm wondering for you, as you think back about those 4 years, or even as a parent of Saxon students, past and we've got some on the way.
Yeah,
If
I mean, yeah,
I know your family,
yeah.
what do you hope for this space? What do you want to see added or changed about our school? Uh, Maybe from the professional lens, what are you looking for as you hire? How would you answer that question?
I think South is such a unique school, and I still see it there today. Like I said, I think there's so much strength in just the diversity of the different kinds of kids and families that are coming into South. And so I think, yeah, just continued connection. I want to see continued connection for South with the community. And I think the other thing that I was thinking about is, I had a great experience with peer mentoring when I was at South, and I'd love to see that program continue to grow and expand, and just the relationships that students can help each other in those areas, and what that might look like. So, those are just a couple little thoughts there, but I see exactly what you're saying, that alumni community. I mean, it actually does mean quite a bit to be a part of South, and the legacy that South really does have.
Yeah, that legacy. I love that word, and I love that oftentimes alumni, that is such a college focus that colleges really push the alumni networks, and we don't see it a lot from the high school side of things. And that's what, again, one of our ambitious goals is just widening that network, allowing your story to now feed our current students in a way that they can see themselves in you as a former soccer player, as a coach, as someone they probably see on the fields at some point or see in the community, that they can now make that kid went to, that adult went to
Exactly.
South, like I can be that. I can see myself in that story in some way. Yeah, so thank you for being someone that we can celebrate and honor and spotlight, for being committed both to our Salem-Keizer community, but also South Salem, this pocket of our community as well. We see it. We are very grateful for you, what you're doing. Couple of questions left. These ones are brought to us by one of your former classmates, Matt Cox,
There we
Softsound
go.
Properties. So hey, he used to have a podcast himself, and he always had the rapid fire questions at the end. And so I'll hit you with a couple of them. One, just favorite place in Salem to eat.
Oh, uh, Los Panditas. It's a little tiny hole in the wall taco shop.
Yeah, where is that?
It's off State Street. It's on our way out to our complex, and
Yep.
literally you wouldn't know what it is, but you got to look for it. State and Lancaster, Los
State
Panditas.
Lancaster. Okay. I love it. Favorite book you've read, or maybe what you're into right now?
I do like to read. You know, one of the things that I read recently that I really enjoyed was a book called Digital Minimalism,
Mm,
and it's by a guy named Newport.
yep.
Just real interesting take on minimalism in a sense of we've got all these different things in technology, but what does it look like to have those things add value to your life?
Yeah. Cal Newport finished his the slow productivity book, and yeah, just love of finding ways to allow yourself to work deeper, be more present, slowing down. That's great.
Um, it's a tough one, but the best memory I think I have is Haiti. I've been to Haiti a few times to do some actually coach an academy down there. Super super special to use your paddle in a beautiful place. I mean, it's a gorgeous. There's a lot of news that's bad about Haiti, but there's a lot of really awesome, beautiful people that are there, and I have some of my best memories on the field just seeing playing soccer and being sweaty and dirty and inhaling the smoke from the garbage that was burning around the corner. But it was just a beautiful, beautiful time there.
I love that. Uh, these aren't rapid fire questions, but they just hit me as something I want to know as someone who lives in Salem. So I'll let you go on as deep as you want. Two similar questions. Where do you see CFC going in the next 5 to 10 years? What's your vision for
Uh, but my vision is to be able to see every kid and family be able to participate at the level that they choose, whatever that might look like, and to kind of have a community collaborative approach to that, because I think that we have a lot of groups, not necessarily in the soccer world, but just in the sports world, that are all kind of doing something parallel. I'd love to see more collaboration and kind of a community approach to the way that we handle sports so that the kids and families can get into the spaces that they want to be in.
it? Is that some of the work you're doing? Does that align with the Salem Youth Sports Alliance as well?
Yeah, the Youth Sports Alliance and working with partners with the Boys and Girls Club and the Y and these other the PAC Community Center and some of those guys that are doing some things with basketball stuff too. So I'm passionate about sports. I love it. I think the physical activity and the community aspects of it are huge. And so to see and just reduce the barriers for participation, whether that be financial or travel, geography, time, any of those things, so that everybody can participate at some level. So yeah.
Love that. Similarly, what do you want to see Salem grow or develop into in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think I want to see more long-term vision and strategy for, how does our small community take on more identity? And I think that we're kind of in a transitional space. Just growing up here, the city's gotten bigger, but I think we still do things kind of in a small town way sometimes. I think there's different neighborhoods that have different needs and different communities. And so I would love to see us really take care of each one of these different neighborhoods and pockets of what our community looks like as it kind of changes and grows. So every space has a little bit of a different flavor. And I think if we can be, who are we? That's my big question. Who are we as a city and what do those neighborhoods look like?
That's great. Who else should we interview on this podcast?
Oh man. I think you should get Josh K on here. Um, I know you already had Garrett. I think Will Keller would be a great person that's in my world to
Mm-hmm.
to do that. Anna Ernst. These are all my classmates here.
Yes.
So
Good humans.
yeah, good people.
Yeah.
Lots of good
hmm
people.
hmm Okay. Any other shout outs you want to give?
Uh, hey, shout out to Mr. Woods, my English teacher from IB English back in the day. And yeah, shout out to you, Ryan, for the work that you're doing and everything that's going there. It's been really cool to see you step into this and follow along with all the things that you're doing here. So.
Well, thank you. That means a lot, especially coming from you. And thank you for the impact you continue to have on my life, even just our small touch points along the way with knowing what you've got going on from a community level. And, just you have such a rock star family, and you and Addie are both such great stewards of what you've been given and the ways that you've given back in those spaces. It's pretty remarkable. So, thanks for jumping on with us today. Any other messages? Anything else before I let you go?
No, what a privilege, and it's been an honor to be here with you, Ryan. I appreciate the time, and it's really my pleasure. So thank you for having me.
That wraps up our conversation with Collin. Thanks so much, Collin, for jumping on with us and sharing a lot about your story. Thanks to our sponsors, Saxon Success Fund, as well as Saucetown Properties, Matt Cox over there. We are grateful for their willingness and their support of our conversations and our spotlights with our former Saxons. If you want, and please, this is our scholarship season for our seniors, so if you want to donate or find a way to make a really significant impact on our current Saxons, please go to saxonsuccessfund.org. Donate there. Any amount goes directly to our students and makes a pretty incredible impact on their ability to attend school after South Salem. As always, go Saxons. We'll catch you next time.